For our retro review of the original series, we have for you Obsession after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and I have to admit that of all of the Star Trek episodes of the original series, Obsession is one of the ones that I've forgotten more, and not for any reason of anything that was lacking in the episode. It did have very much the feel of the Doomsday Machine, except this time the person obsessed was Captain Kirk himself. It was going against reason, against something that he had a hunch about, that he had a way of fighting that he wasn't sure how it was or why he knew, but he was going to have to do it and nothing was going to stop him. And interestingly, they supported it with the same music that they had used. The cues in some of the scenes were from Doomsday Machine, which of course had special music written for it. We see the cloud creature, which is kind of a vampire. It is something that feeds on red blood cells. And the backstory was that it caused the death of over 200 people on the USS Farragut, which Kirk had served on 11 years prior. This is something we find out about Kirk in the original series, that he was lieutenant 11 years ago and serving on the Farragut, and his captain was Garavik, and by some coincidence, an ensign who has just joined with the ship is also the son of that commander, Garavik. So the opening scene before the opening credits has three red shirts down, two of them dead, one of them barely recovering in sickbay, and eventually they lose him as well. But it's all about this vampire cloud, and Kirk becomes unbelievably obsessed with this, to the point of where Dr. McCoy is consulted by Spock. Spock says, "I need your advice." McCoy says, "and I need a drink." One of the best lines of the episode. And beyond this, what we see is Kirk's assumption eventually being right, although his methodology would have been wrong. They were able to find a way and destroy it in its home planet before it was to spawn, while McCoy and Spock confronted him over various actions he's taken as a captain that would be challenging. They didn't go as far as mutiny. They just went to straight regulations. They question what his decision-making was and make log entries based on that. At the end of their interrogation, McCoy says the medical log stays open, which is to say he will not make his entry until he's absolutely certain. This goes to show something about not only the sense of duty by these officers, but also their friendship with Kirk, that they're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt if Kirk were to give them any kind of rationale for what he was doing, and which he did. So he at least understood that they weren't trying to commit a mutiny. He understood that they were doing their duty, and they understood that he must have some reason behind what he's doing. And that worked out well in the end. Kind of interesting little start with him and Ensign Garavik, and it went absolutely nowhere. Unfortunately, when a episode ends, the entire history is erased, just about. And in this case, we never see Garavik again. But it might have been an interesting ongoing character if they had had the budget to add one more character. They only had Chekhov as a regular ensign, and they had already gotten rid of Riley, who essentially Chekhov replaced, and other minor characters that you don't see very often, like Dusal or Leslie, for instance, are often seen in various episodes, but not really a series regular. It might not have been a bad idea to put Garavik in there, just as kind of a interesting way of providing a little more backstory to Kirk. They gave him really kind of sketchy things, but that was not unusual in that day and time. So altogether, it was a pretty good episode. They showed anti-gravs for the first time. They showed the fact that a ounce of antimatter could equal 48 cobalt bombs. That gave some technology reference to what they were able to do. So I recommend the episode. It's interesting to see the fact that even Kirk, when he's obsessed, does have very good instincts. And this is something that Spock respects, and even McCoy will bend to, even when he thinks that the captain is wrong. So that is the... There's also a little sub element of blaming oneself for something of which you can't control, and they kind of address that a little bit through Spock and the ensign. So I'd like to hear your opinion. Why not put it below? And while you're there, if you have not yet subscribed, please do so and click the like button if you will. We do retro reviews, of course, on the original series, on Deep Space Nine, and on the current run of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. After that has finished its run, we'll see what happens. If there's not a new show to follow that, we'll probably start picking up on Babylon 5, but that is somewhere coming up. So in the meantime, we hope that you'll stick with us, and thank you for watching. Don't go far.